Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. I'm your host, JC, and today we're going to take the mystery out of the AEA SF, which stands for Select Fire series. And that's this PCP rifle right here. This is the standard version, which means it has the 13-inch barrel. But before we get into the specifics and we get rolling on this, do me a favor if you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button down in the corner. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free, but it really helps support the channel, and I would be absolutely grateful for that, because that way we can continue doing what we're doing here. Anyway, also check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. On that site, I've got various t-shirts, I've got some hats, got my Generation 2 bipods, and I do occasionally put some of my personal inventory up there, so check that out. All right, let's get back to our AEA here. Once again, this is our AEA Select Fire. This has the option to switch between single shot and semi-automatic. And what I mean by that is you get to pull the bolt. There's a switch here that decides whether you want single or semi-automatic, and you just have to, this part has to be flipped forward, and then you just flip this switch, deciding what direction you want to go. And what that will do, it will allow you to shoot shots more precisely in the single action, because that means you got to pull the bolt every time and load a pellet. And you do that with the magazine, because this actually comes with two 12-round magazines in the 22 caliber. They make this gun in 22, 25, and 30, and again, this is going to be the 22 caliber that we're testing here today. But once again, it's a pre-charged pneumatic. This has a 330cc tank, so it's a 4,500 PSI fill. So you get a lot of air in there. But they really upgraded this. This model now has an external regulator. The other ones that were regulated before was internal. This one is external. Right here is your regulator. So you can set that without taking the gun apart, which is terrific. The gun itself weighs a little over 5 pounds, about 5.3 pounds. And this one's about 35 inches long. And again, this one has the 13-inch barrel. But it also has some baffles in here. So it has a built-in suppressor. So they claim you're going to get about 40 plus shots out of it, kind of in that 900 feet per second range. So we'll find out. But it also has a 11 millimeter scope rail. As you see, we've got a scope mount on here because it doesn't come with any type of sights. It does have a folding stock, and it's an AR style, so you can totally adjust the length of pull here just by pushing the button. See, that's your length of pull here. So it's got your AR style. Another thing they really upgraded on here, and you can see this, is the probe. This is an aftermarket cap I put on here. But the probe they come with now, it's your typical probe, but it's actually threaded. So you can thread this in and just leave it. So I've got an aftermarket cap just to keep the dirt out of it and keep that going. But then you don't have to worry about, hey, where's my probe? It's always in there and it's ready to be filled. So I really like that upgrade. So some really obvious ones are the external regulator, and in addition to that is the fill probe. I really like both of those. And with this, they also put a Picatinny rail on here. Obviously, the bipods don't come with it, or the scope, so you're going to need your own optics. And if you want to use a bipod, you're going to have to supply that yourself as well. But pretty cool combination. I love the rubber textured grip on this. It's kind of an AR style grip too. So they got a lot to offer here. They really do. It's a really good looking package. It's like they thought of everything on this. They also have, let me flip this around real quick and show you. They even have a hammer hold, if you want to call that. So you just lock that up and it locks your hammer back. So how many times are you fiddling with magazines where you got to hold that hammer back? They actually put this lock on there. So now you just pull the bolt back, it holds it in place, and you bring your magazines in and out. There's just nothing to it. And then it's just got a little release on this, and this goes forward. That simple. But yeah, really, really a good looking gun. But let's go see how it performs. Let's go out and have some fun with this thing. We're going to do both the single action mode and the semi-automatic mode. We'll show you both of that. And when we're done there, we'll wrap it up and come back and talk about it. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's test our select fire over the chronograph. I'm going to show you guys two pellets today. Two of them that are actually the most accurate, because I figured why not do the most accurate pellets and see what type of velocities we're getting. The first ones I'm going to show you are these new JTS dead centers, the 18.1 grain. They actually performed really well in this. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna make you guys happy and just open these, even though I don't use them. But anyway, I'm just gonna use this in single action mode, and we're just gonna shoot 5 shots. We'll average it out, we'll get your foot-pounds of energy, and then I'm gonna tell you how well it did with another pellet. And I'm not gonna tell you what the other pellet is until we go through this one. Okay, so let's get this started. Okay, shot number 1. 976. Shot number 2. 953. Shot number 3. 951. Shot number 4. 949. Pretty good standard deviation there. And last but not least, 947. So right around that 950 mark there, and you got some decent foot-pounds of energy. But I want to tell you guys how it did with kind of a crazy pellet. It's the H&N Heavy Slugs. This is a 34 grain pellet. That is one heavy pellet. I mean, think about it. It's approaching that 22 long rifle size. Anyway, we averaged 755 feet per second, and we got 43 foot-pounds of energy. And this is actually, I'm going to use this in the accuracy test, because these things are actually absolutely surprising when you look at the shape of these things and how long they are and how accurate they are. So anyway, there you go. So let's move on to the next segment. Okay, we're set up here on our PCP range. We like the little extra distance here to, you know, test these PCPs. So we're roughly about 40, a little over 40 yards actually. If you want to go check that out real quick. Yes, and we're going to be shooting our 4-inch splatterburst. I'll leave you guys a link down below. These are pretty cool because they really show your impact points. But there's a little bit of wind going on today. So what we're going to use is we're going to use these H&N Heavy Slugs. These are those 34 grain. And I'll give you a close-up on this. Check this out. There you go. That's what they look like. I mean, they're very long. And you'd ask yourself, God, could they be accurate at that length? Well, I'm about to show you. We're going to go ahead and shoot in our single shot mode. That way we make sure every one of those pellets are lined up perfectly in that chamber when we fire, so we can get the best accuracy as possible. So let's shoot 5 shots, see how well it groups. Remember, we're going for grouping here, so don't worry about if they all land in the red or not. But let's get this going. All right. Let's see. Shot number 1. Safety off. All right. Shot number 2. Shot number 3. Shot number 4. And shot number 5. Hopefully we can keep this going. I'd say we definitely kept that going. Whoa, that's a heck of a group, it really is. I'm gonna take that every time. But yeah, these heavy slugs, it's amazing. I tried some different weights, they didn't do so good. The heavier, they even make a heavier one, you know, like a 40 grain, didn't work. And the lighter one, 21 grain, it didn't like it, but it definitely liked the 34 grain. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Okay, let's test the trigger weight on our select fire here. I've got my trusty Lyman trigger gauge. We'll reset this. And I've got it in the single action mode. Let's just see how much weight it takes to pull this. £4, 15 ounces. So under a 5-pound trigger, and that is not bad when you consider this is a semi-automatic. So the trigger actually feels pretty good on this. It really does. Okay, there's your trigger weight. Let's move on to the next segment. Do some plinking with our select fire here. And select fire, we're going to go semi-auto for this one. And what we're going to use the, because I want to show you guys the versatility on the pellets on this. We're going to use the JTS Dead Centers. These are 18.1 grain pellet. These actually did quite well also. So you saw what we did. We did the heavy slugs in the target portion. Now we're just going to plink. We're just going to use these 18.1 grain. But I set us up at the same exact setup as our accuracy test. Go ahead, take a quick look. We got the cart set up with some eggs, a little shotgun shell, an empty tin, a few things there. So what we're going to do is rapidly try to knock those down as quick as we can. And we'll see how we do. Again, we're going to be on the semi-automatic mode. Hopefully we'll get this going. So I'm going to start on the bottom row. Let's get this lined up here. Bottom row. Start with the pipe on the right side. Yep, that one, and then that, the tin, the egg. Whoa, does that hit hard. You see the impact of that. All right, the top, try to take the shotgun shell on the left side first. Got it. Oh, let's see if we can hit it on the face, because it flipped over. There we go. How about one egg, 2 eggs. Get that piece of metal on the end. And the other egg. Wow, did that hit hard? Pretty amazing, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to the next segment. All right, that was a lot of fun. It really was, especially in the semi-automatic mode. Man, AEA, whoa. They hit a home run with this one, I gotta be honest with you guys. They really did some outstanding upgrades. Negatives, let me talk about negatives first. I really don't have any negatives. I don't, because they kind of took care of everything. And I put, I'm gonna count about 800 rounds through this thing, and it's just been tremendous. It really has. I really like, let's get into the positives because I really don't have any negatives. I really like the upgrades they did to it. I like what they did to the fill probe, just having that threaded, just that little thing, having that threaded and not having to go in and out with a fill probe all the time is awesome. I like the fact that you have an external regulator, so you don't have to take the gun apart to do that, to adjust the regulator, which is awesome. And it's very simple. How this adjusts. There's a, as you can see, there's a big nut there. You take this, obviously the bipod comes off, this housing comes off, there's an outer nut there. You want to do this usually when the tank is empty, but you just loosen that nut and then you adjust the Allen portion, the inner part, forward or back, depending on how you want to set your regulator. It's that simple. And then you put it back together. So really easy process. And your regulated pressure obviously is under here, and this is your tank pressure over here. But just a point or two also on the 22 caliber, because you're using lighter rounds. If you think about this, comes in both 22, 25, and 30. So the 25 and 30 are a little bit bigger rounds. So you want to put this transfer port down on 3/4. You want to cut that air down just a little bit so this bolt isn't flying as hard. Just a little pointer on that. Anyway, just so you guys know, I set the regulator at 160 bar for my tests, because I wanted to find, you know, some decent power and also get a decent amount of shots out of it. So I went ahead and charted this for you. So check out the chart here, because we want to see exactly how it would perform. So I used the JTS, the 18.1 grain pellets, which actually that's what I used during the plinking. Now I used the 34 grain, the big heavy guys, for the target. But anyway, check out, once again, this chart. So with a 22 caliber set at 160 bar, we got 60 shots out of it. We got 938 feet per second, which is about 35 foot-pounds of energy on average. So that was actually pretty good, 60 shots. Now keep in mind, 160 bar is 2,300 PSI. So once you start dropping below that 2,300 PSI, as you can see in the chart, that's when your shots start to fall. But regardless, we still got 60 good shots at it with this set at 160 bar. So keep that in mind. And let's touch real quick again on the accuracy on this thing. Phenomenal. Absolutely outstanding. You saw that group I shot at 40 plus yards, and that was with the 34 grain slugs. And the cool thing is to know this does shoot the slugs really well. So if you're wondering if there's a difference in the shot count between the single action mode and the semi-automatic mode, no, you get the same shots. You would think you would get more in the single mode, but no, because the same amount of air just comes back. The benefit to that is when you're in the single shot mode, when you're loading each pellet, it carefully goes into that breech, because you're just doing each by hand. and you're not going to distort it, any of the pellets or the skirts. So you're probably going to edge out the accuracy. So if you're doing some really good accuracy, you can use that single action mode. But what's great, it gives you the option of both. So whether you want to go semi-auto, single action, it's great. But again, the shot count pretty much stays the same. The rifle is also very quiet. I would say without a doubt, backyard friendly. They did a tremendous job on this. So you've got a 13-inch barrel, and then you have baffles at the end, a stack of baffles in here in the shroud. And they really, really work. They quiet down this rifle. It 100% is backyard friendly. And I was shooting it all day long, and it was no louder than any other air gun that I have. So, but again, how fun was that semi-automatic mode? You guys saw that in the plinking session. It's so cool to have an air gun that you just pull the trigger and that pellet comes flying out of there above 900 feet per second. So you got power out of this thing. It really is cool. So I have to say, AEA, you hit a home run on this. And without a doubt, I'm going to have to give this one 5 stars. This is definitely a 5-star gun. If you guys are interested in something like this, by the way, this one runs kind of right around that $800 range. But you're getting a lot of rifle. You're getting, like I said, single action, semi-automatic, and a rifle that actually works. It really does. And it does come with the 2 magazines, and then 22, they're the 12-round magazines. And these are the type that you got to flip it around and drop your pellet in backwards and then load it up. It is what it is. I would prefer to see the type magazines that don't have to do that, but I think, especially with the semi-automatic, the reason they do that is because when you spin this around, it creates lots of tension on the magazine, and these pellets need lots of tension to make sure it's fast enough to, especially in the semi-automatic mode, to move into the position where it can be pushed into the breech automatically. Because this thing, you can't even, this bolt moves so quick in that semi-automatic mode, it's surprising. It really is. But anyway, if you're interested in something like this, again, the pellet shop, our buddy Ben there, extremely incredible customer service. I mean, he'll explain things to you. Anything you need, he'll take care of you. So I'm going to leave a link for you down below. Also, more out west, we also have the Utah Airguns. You can get a hold of them as well. But these are tremendous, and they carry the whole line of the AEA guns. And like I said, they're really on their game now. They're really improving these. So definitely worth checking out. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Airgun Detectives. Don't forget, this is where we take the mystery out of air guns. And until next time, I hope you and your families are doing really well and you're getting plenty of shooting in. So God bless and take care.